And first of all, thank you to everyone who's participating in this study, because I can do this with nobody participating. So it's been about let me let people in there. Got everything at one time here now, and I have 4 chats going on. All right, so I want to keep an eye on the chat. So first, just briefly tell where I'm at, and then we can communicate a little bit, because one of the reasons I want to do this is to connect with you guys more than I have done, because I honestly haven't had any time to do any of this until now. And let me see here. Okay. So about 2020, it means that I'm a little over 20 years into this study that I started in 2000 with just a few people. Just got up to about 70 dogs back in 2000, and end of 2000, we had 70 dogs. Had a little bit more, some fell off. So I stuck with that for 10, almost 12 years. And just loosely, it was not a very organized study. People just kind of loosely communicated with me, and we talked about how our dogs were doing on a raw food diet. And I recorded some the frequency of diseases or chronic diseases. And then in the beginning, I didn't even think about cancer. All I was thinking about longevity, see if these dogs lived longer than the statistics. That's all I have to compare with, because we can all go on Google, how long will my German Shepherd live, or other breeds. So there are numbers out there for that. So that's what I wanted to compare with, because I had a feeling that raw fed dogs would live longer. And certainly mine were doing that. So when I got these people to join, I definitely saw a lot of interesting things during those 10, 12 years, enough for me to, okay, I want to make a little bit more of a serious study out of this. And I start designing some forms and some spreadsheets and things like that, so I could track it better. And then I started inviting people in 2014. So that's when the really bigger type of the study started. And now I got more people to join. So over the next 7, 8 years, I managed to get up to several thousand, and well, more than several thousand. And right now, I'm a little under 6,000 that had registered, but that doesn't mean they are active. There's a lot of people that just register and never hear from them again. And so that part is a little, I expected it, but just something you have to live with when you do that type of study I do, which is just an observational study. So, and I know part of that is my fault, that I didn't stay in contact with people more often. I did things like this. I think that could help. But so that's what I'm trying to now figure out, a little different way of doing this, a little more interactive, and get people more involved. All I'd required so far, because I didn't want this to be a burden to anybody. So I just asked for an update once a year. And many of you have been really good at that and updating me. So that's part of the feedback I get, that I can base on things I see, trends. I'm looking for trends right now, and which I kind of look for over the last 4 or 5 years, things that repeat itself, things I see seem to be working, things that maybe not work so well. But the study is a lifetime study, so the results going to come when a lot of people have passed. That's when I start seeing things. And fortunately for all of you guys, and a little bit unfortunate for me, was about to say, I don't have enough dogs that passed yet. So quite a few, but and I start categorizing and cataloging that in a sense. So I'm building actually some new forms right now for, they call them end of life. And I know this is the hardest part of the whole study, is to ask people to really go into detail about their dogs after they passed. And I give them some time to do that. I don't want to, you guys are good at telling me when a dog passed, and I don't want to jump, okay, he passed, no, I'll fill out this form. So I'm a little bit trying to figure that part out a little bit. But that's when it started to have some value, when I see the lifespan, I see what the cause of death, what happened in the last 4 or 5 years. This was very interesting, and so it's just going to go on for a few more years before I can come out with some more substantial study with numbers and things like that. So I've been debating over the last few years, should I go out and talk about anything? Should I share anything? Should I just wait till this whole thing is over? And so I decided that there's certain things I want to share, and there's certain things that I don't have enough data that I can't really share, but I kind of see trends that are very interesting. So I think I eventually want to share that with the participant, not like go out in the public and do it. So I'm still kind of feeling this out. I want to see what the response is for what I'm doing right now. See if there are interest in having these Zoom meetings and talk about things, because one thing I learned, or the biggest thing I learned from this whole thing, I learned more from you guys than I learned from any book, any education, anything. I become an animal naturopath, which is the closest to what I believe in, how we should, handle dogs when it comes to prevention and disease. So I took that, but I learned much, much more from people that I talked to. I also did a lot with cancer cases. Some of you might have met me through that. I have over 400 documented cancer cases that I dealt with. And that's probably what I learned the most, how these dogs got into that situation where they got cancer. It's a very, very specific things that it repeats itself in that when it comes to chronic diseases and other things that take the life of our dogs, it's a very similar pattern that brings the dogs up to that stage. So that I also learned many different things that people have used before that have worked and doesn't work, and I do a lot of testing, and I have a group inside another group I have that help me test products and things like that, because honestly, out there now is more crazy misinformation than there are valued information. It was much easier before, actually, 20 years ago, go on a raw food diet. All I got, oh, you crazy feeding dog raw food. That was it. It wasn't like anything else. Because either they liked it or they liked it. And that's what we did. We just fed a raw food diet, and there wasn't all these supplements. There wasn't all these things that you should add to your diet to make it this and this and this and this. And so for me now, because based on the questions I get often, I just, where did you hear that? Like it's just insane things that come up. Oh, I read it online. I read it in this group and that group. And I mean, you can go to any group that deals with the health of a dog and ask a question, and you get like 4, 5, 6 different solutions and suggestions what you're going to do. So it's extremely frustrating when you have a sick dog and go online and try to get help, especially cancer. It's just so many things out there that is so wrong and so not good things to do with dogs. But that's beyond. It's just something I've observed over the last 20 years. It gets more and more complicated, everything. Even the raw food diet now is starting to get so complicated, so people are terrified of starting it. And in my opinion, it's the easiest diet to start of them all. I mean, you don't have to calculate anything really when it comes to nutrition and things like that, which is now actually become a big thing. The balanced food, how is it balanced and all that, which I can talk about a little bit later, which doesn't concern me much, because I don't think we need to balance it in the way that people tell us to balance it. But I'm more interested in communicating with you guys, because I can sit and talk about this for hours, and I'm more interested in, because I learned from you guys, and I want to hear about the success stories, things that worked, didn't work. But first of all, I would like to kind of, you're not that many, only 19, so you're able to kind of talk to, hear from most of you guys here. And I'm curious where you're from and all that. And because in the study, there are people from all over the world. And most are from United States. The second big group is UK. Then we have a lot of people in Europe, Australia, so quite a bit of South Africa, South America, like Argentina, there are quite a few. and spread in South Africa. I mentioned that, and some people in Eastern Europe, Ukraine, quite a few, and so they're all over the world. And which I love, absolutely love, that raw feeding is popping up everywhere. And it's a big group in Turkey, by the way. And that's because of one woman over there that is a big promoter of raw food. So I don't know where you guys are from, and I tried to find a time that kind of would complement most people around United States fairly easy, but then we have Australia and then Europe on, totally opposite of the time. So that's late for them in Europe, and I think it's super early over in Australia. So is anybody have any questions? Anybody want to say anything? I wonder if you should do this, if you use that hand, that little hand thing on where you raise your hand if you want to talk, and then I can go down that list so we don't talk over each other. You can also post questions. I'm going to keep an eye on the questions. Let me see, I don't have any. Yeah, SBS, yeah, I will do an updating you. That's fine. A lot of people are. And you have one other girl pass away. Yeah. Is it a little, I'm going to mention this because there's something that a little bit disturbing, because I see now more raw-fed dogs get cancer than I ever did before. It's not a big group, but it's an increase. In my first study of the 70 dogs, only one dog got cancer. Well, that's a tiny group. And then later they stayed around 2 to 3%, but I don't have a lot of people now, dogs that are older in the group. That's now starting, because I'm 2014 is about 6 to 8 years in now when I start getting dogs that get up in age and start dying. So I get a little bit more information on the older dogs, and I see an uptick in cancer in raw-fed dogs. And I'll be honest, the number one reason I started that was, or not the one was the longevity in my Great Danes, but the second was cancer. I had cancer one time, the worst experience ever. I don't want that to happen again. So that was one of the things I was so convinced that will help so much. And I know it does. It lowers the risk of cancer dramatically, but still some raw-fed dogs get cancer. And I really want to dig into that and find out why, if you see anything in common. I see a couple of things on this, and that's the vaccination. Some people are kept up with vaccination in raw-fed dogs, and I think that might be one. I can't tell for sure it is, but I'm just making notes on everything now. For when I get a dog, raw-fed dog with cancer, I'm really digging in, and I hope to see if I can see something that is common. But I bet you guys have all kinds of opinions on it too, and I'd love to hear it. Okay, now I start seeing some hands. So before I just talk, oh my gosh, I talked nonstop for 17 minutes. I'm sorry. All right, Constance, is that right?
Yeah. Hi, Thomas. I'd just like to thank you so much for your work, and I'd just like to give a 1 minute kind of introduction of why your work is so important to all the others. I was kind of involved in an unintentional study because I used to work at a boarding kennels in a very remote town in the middle of Australia. And this town was very unique because once a year, Christmas, there was a mass exodus. Everyone went away for Christmas every year, and they boarded their dogs at our kennel. And our kennel, or the one I worked at, would feed them exactly what they got fed at home. And so we saw the same dogs every year. And what I noticed was the ones that are on the raw food were really active in their old age as time progressed. They didn't really see, there was no difference in their younger years. By the time they got to say 5, the ones that were on the cancer kibble type diet were getting arthritis, skin conditions, all that kind of stuff. The ones on the raw food diets were active and healthy and living a happy life. And so I knew that as soon as you started this study, you were totally onto something. I just wanted to thank you for your dedication and your years and years and years of making this your life's passion. So thank you.
No, thank you so much. And that is an excellent point you mentioned, because that's what I see too. I see dogs, yeah, around 4 or 5 years, not a tremendous difference, but then when they start aging, you really separate out the raw fed with the other ones. Absolutely. Because what people often do, because people in my study had dogs for years and years and years, and they say, oh my gosh, these dogs is just stay younger, so much longer. And that is definitely one thing that is beneficial for a raw food diet. So excellent. I love that, what you said. Thank you. All right, go, Yaz. Is that right? No.
Yeah, no, that's right. It's Yaz. I'm Yaz. This is my colleague Steph. We're from the UK. I'm a canine massage therapist. Have been raw feeding my dogs for the past 3 years. Just anecdotally, the dogs that I see in clinic, I'd say 90% of them are raw fed. And out of the dogs that I've been seeing for the past 3 years, I've had one that's had cancer. All the rest of them at the moment, but obviously that's anecdotal. I've still got a lot of time to see how they're getting on. But raw fed dogs from a vet rehabber point of view recover from injury a lot quicker. Their skin plasticity, the moisture they hold in their fascia is far superior to kibble fed dogs. And also after a session, it's normal for dogs to drink. Because you drain in the lymphatic system and they need to flush out the toxins. And the dry fed dogs have to stop in the session and go and get a drink multiple times. The raw fed dogs wait until the end.
Oh, that is so interesting. No, it's true, because in raw fed food is 70% water. So they get water in a different way than just drinking it. Yes.
I did it as well, where I did 1 bowl with filtered water, 1 bowl with filtered water and a sprinkle of pink Himalayan salt for the electrolytes. The raw fed dogs consistently went for the pink Himalayan salt water, and the kibble fed dogs went for the plain filtered water. And again, anecdotal.
No, that's what everything I do is anecdotal too, because there is no science that willing to study these things scientifically, because there's no money in it for anybody.
No.
Has the money to do a study like that, is going to lose out big time. I mean, the kibble companies, if ever they would try to disprove that raw food diet is not a good diet, they will lose. There's no way they will. And they're not willing to put millions of dollars into a study. Nobody. So all we can do is observational study. And I love these studies much more because it comes from real people like you. These are people that are observing it, that's experience it every single day, and they have no financial interest in this. But one thing that I absolutely want to mention to everybody: pink salt. Give pink salt to your dogs. It's one of those things that dogs need, pink salt.
I'm pretty sure I got that from you years ago. When I started following you, because I first came across you when I think you did a live with Dr. Nick Thompson, the holistic vet in the UK. That was where, and then I've kind of followed you ever since. But I'll stop guessing. I'll let Steph do her piece.
Oh, perfect.
Hello, I'm Steph, and I've been very lucky enough to have multiple dogs over my lifetime, and I'm only 33, but I can count at least 25 dogs over my grandparents, my parents, and my life. So I would say our dogs suffered tremendously with cancer 20 years ago, and it was consistent that it was just a thing we had to put up with, if you like. And we moved to a raw diet 13 years ago, and I'm going to touch wood, I've had no dogs diagnosed with cancer since that point.
Wow.
And that is 10 plus dogs in that time. And obviously I've still got quite a few of them still going. There's 9 of them still on the go at the moment, of many ages, varying from 3 to 12. So yeah, I live and breathe raw feeding, and I echo what you say when the changes of the industry and people's opinions, and it's a bit crazy nowadays. But for me, I think if we can introduce any raw food, any fresh food into a system, we are one step closer to changing that dog's life.
Yeah.
So.
What helps me, I don't care what people say. If I'm absolutely don't care one bit, because I know I'm on the side of truth. Because you see what you see. Nobody can change that. I mean, crazy that veterinarians and things like that tell people that, raw food diets are wrong, and the client can say, no, wow, my dog was so sick a year ago, I changed the raw food diet and it is changed. I can't even recognize my dog, and now you want me to go back on kibble? It just, people won't do that, never ever. So
I
it
think
is the most
we
powerful.
have nearly so my business is obviously we do raw food, and we're a distributor, and there's a rough, don't get me wrong, we're not all ordering all the time, but there's about 12,500 of them in any one given period, ordering bits and pieces. So we're just doing one dog at a time, or one cat at a time, or a ferret, or whatever you're feeding, as long as it's species appropriate. I'm with you.
No, I always say if I want to sell anything in the entire world, would be raw food, because I know absolutely how beneficial it is.
Yeah.
And no, excellent. Gosh, you mentioned something I want to. What about vaccination? If you want to talk, you don't have to talk about it.
Yeah, so very interesting. The dogs have not been vaccinated now for, I would say, at least 10 years.
Wow.
So what I did to begin with is I did a titer, and the bloods came back through the roof. The vets honestly couldn't believe what they were seeing. They couldn't understand it, because obviously it was such a new concept to them. And to be honest, the ones, my youngest ones, if you like, they're not vaccinated at all now, but that is my choice. I know people agree and disagree with that, but
it's a calculated risk, though.
That is a calculated risk for me, and I prefer not to do it. And I've had great success. So they've no conventional flea or worm. They are obviously vaccine free, or very limited now for the older ones that may have had one or two. And they live a very healthy, fit, I would say, outdoor lifestyle, which is really important. I think dogs, their lifestyles change quite a lot and quite dramatically. When I speak to my grandma, who, she'd do a broth, scraps, and bones, and that was a dog's diet, pre sort of commercial food, when that broke. And she said we never had any problems. Cancer wasn't even a thing; it didn't exist. Which was very interesting, because then we went full circle, and every dog had cancer that we had, and we just never put it down to anything. Just thought, well, this is part and parcel of life. And then to go full circle again, back out the other end of it, is fantastic.
No, exactly the same experience from back. I'm from Norway, and we grew up in Norway, and my mom never heard of cancer in dogs, so that wasn't anything we had dealt with. So no, this is you're doing all the right things. Like, I have 4 steps or 5 steps sometimes, but the number one is food.
Yeah.
For prevention of cancer and longevity, or promote longevity. Food, exercise for me is number 2. You can exercise is so extremely important, because it activates the lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is the one that gets rid of the toxins or chemicals, plus many things. Then I also add stress in there. If you have a very stressful dog, that is also a really big hit to the immune system. So go work with that. And then the third one, fourth one, then will be limit vaccines, absolutely, to the minimum. And I do the same as you do. I have now a Dane that's not been vaccinated, and he's different from any other Dane I ever had. And I have many, I shouldn't say many, but quite a few in the study that have not vaccinated either. So I'm interested in following their story, of course. Then the fourth thing is to limit things like exposed to toxic chemicals through flea tick and heartworm.
Yes.
If you do those 5 things, I don't see how a dog can really get cancer. But I can't say that, but that should limit the risk dramatically.
Yeah, well, if you're limiting the big factors, and I would include fresh filtered water, just when I'm talking to people. And I think if you can limit those ones, obviously, I think nowadays we live in such a world where we want to kill all bacteria and viruses, because we've been sold this misconception that they are all dangerous. And I think if we are doing that with Dettol or whatever you're doing in your house, where everything's clean to an inch of its life, the candles are on, the plugins are in, the shake and vax on the carpet, because you can't have it smelling like a dog in the house. Yeah. It's damaging the microbiome, so we've got to look after that.
Oh, absolutely. Totally 100% agree. All right. Excellent. Great input. Thank you so much, both of you.
No worries.
Thank you.
Okay, Deborah, you got your hands up. Oh, you're already there? Okay, go ahead. Hi, Deborah. Can you hear?
Hello. Thank you. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me?
You're just breaking up a little bit, but
You can hear me? Okay.
Try now. Go ahead.
Right. All right. Yeah, this is an awesome thing that you're doing. And I'm a believer of raw feeding. Can you still hear me okay?
Yes, yeah, I heard.
Okay.
Fine.
Anyway, the one comment that I'd like to make that I don't think is, I think it's overlooked, and I had a personal experience with it, is when you switch to raw feeding, not all dogs can all eat the same things. And my very first dog that I went raw with was Silver Lab. She's the poster child of every genetic, horrible, wrong, bad thing that Silver Labs have. And she started me on raw feeding. Well, then there's a test, a NutriScan test that Dr. Gene Dodds does that will help you identify the proteins and there's 24 groups that they'll test on to see if your dog can or can't. And I've done it to every one of my dogs. I have 6 dogs. Some of them can eat the same thing, some of them can't. But the big thing that made me a believer in this is I had a chocolate lab, and I had started feeding raw with my Silver Lab, and then I got my chocolate lab. And in the United States, we don't have the access to all the different wonderful protein sources I think the rest of the world does. You're kind of limited to like pork, beef, turkey, and chicken. I mean, that's about all you can find. Yeah. And so I think what a lot of people do, and I myself, I've been doing it for 8 years, but I started out buying like cheap, cheap when turkey necks would be on sale, when turkeys would be on sale after Thanksgiving, or cheap cuts of pork and stuff like that, and utilizing that. Well, my chocolate lab started having seizures. And I was like, we thought at first maybe she had epilepsy. And I'm like, no, I don't believe this is epilepsy. Well, veterinarians know nothing of nutrition. So, I mean, they're going to argue with me the whole time. She couldn't. We tested her. She said some kind of an unknown something, but it's not epilepsy. I'm like, I refuse to believe that it's not food related. And I took and had her tested, and come to find out I was feeding her all of the things that she was terribly intolerant to, horribly intolerant to. And as soon as I switched her protein sources, cleared it right up. And so I tell people, everybody, when they get ready to want to do raw feeding, if they're interested in it, I said, first of all, you need to find out what your dog can and cannot eat, because not all dogs can eat chicken, not all dogs can eat pork, not all dogs can eat rabbit. I mean, that they have intolerances, and that causes health issues too. And I think you get the best possible advantage with the raw feeding, knowing that, because I've had it happen to myself. So every dog I get, I have them tested, so I know what I can feed them.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And there are.
So I'm just wondering if anybody else has had any experience with that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Another thing that throws makes it. How old was that lab, or how long has it been on raw before you? Had you been on any type of food before that? Your chocolate lab? How old was it? Him or her? Are you there, Deborah? She's frozen, yeah. All right, until she comes back, what I see, it's when it comes to these the allergies and testing for proteins and stuff, is a lot of kibble-fed dogs. We've been on kibble quite a few years, have a leaky gut syndrome, and that means that protein is going to leak, or undigested food will leak into the bloodstream, and then that will be detected in this test where they're testing for proteins. And they usually test for the one that have been in kibble the longest, like a chicken or something like that. So then automatically they assume that this dog is allergic to chicken. And what I've seen many times, when they switch the raw food diet and feed chicken, it's fine, they can handle it. But they need to take care of that leaky gut too, if that's a problem, and that is definitely a problem in most kibble-fed dog. The gut is starting and they started leaking into the bloodstream, and that is a very confusing, because it's not really allergic. It's just a, you know, there's damage to the intestine, so we can repair that. And there are some good supplements, probiotics out there that can fix that. Someone called Phytospore, which has been really helpful for many dogs that I dealt with to fix the leaky gut. So if you have a dog that's testing for some protein issues, that will be one thing to check into too. But she's right about this, that there is some dogs that, whether you have a leaky gut or not, is allergic to certain proteins. Okay, so I think that we lost her completely. Is it? No, Deborah, are you back there? We can't hear you, Deborah. Do you have anything to add? You can unmute yourself. So if you unmute yourself, we can hear you, hopefully. I think she has a bad connection because she's kind of...
Well, okay, am I back? Am I back? Am
Yes.
I back?
So what
Okay.
I asked you, and you probably answered, but we didn't hear you, was
I'm back.
Chocolate Lab. How old was that dog? I think
She
it
was fairly young.
was he,
She was less than a year old.
and was he raw fed from the time you got her, like from puppy, switched to?
Yes, she was
Okay.
Raw-
Yeah, no, he
raw
does.
fed for 8 weeks old.
So
I
that's
was feeding her. I'm sorry. The protein sources she was eating, she was very, very, very intolerant to, and I was giving seizures.
no, it's very interesting.
Lamb, and you know, I found lamb is probably
You know, you have
so I
a
tell everybody to go grain free and if they can raw.
yeah. Deborah, your connection is so it's really bad. I have a hard time understanding you, so I'm gonna have to let you go for now, and then maybe if it gets better, you can come back. But me take Laura. Laura, are you there? Yeah.
Yes. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Hi.
Perfect.
Hi, Dr. Sandberg. I've come to you maybe 5 years ago. No, 2 years ago
All right.
with my dog. I have right now she's 13, but she was 11, golden doodle with cancer. Well, I don't know if she has cancer. She has a tumor in her stomach that her last vet exam showed. She's been on raw food her whole life since I got her at 10 weeks. And so she was diagnosed with this lump in her stomach at 11. She's 13 now. Doesn't seem, excuse me, to be too affected by it. But I've done a lot of your protocol, you know, I'm not as good with the colloidal silver. I need to get back. Both of us need to be taking that, and we're not yet right now, or the MSM, which I still can't figure out a good way to give her that.
She won't take it in the food when you dilute it in warm water and put it into the food.
I could try that. You know, she eats, her normal diet is just some chunks of meat. And so it's hard to pour liquid.
You can
On
add some water, a little bit of water to that. That's fine. Just
Right.
you can add water to that raw food in a bowl.
Yeah.
And
You
that
know,
would,
to lick the
yeah,
stuff.
and
Right.
the dogs would normally drink that when they get to that point. That's one way to slow down dogs that eat too fast. But it's another trick to get supplements into a dog is to add some water and put the supplements, you know, mix in there, unless they add something that they absolutely dislike.
Yeah, she's a very slow eater, very, you know, she has to smell it, and then she kind of has to look at it, and she puts it down, and then she looks up at you. I said, you can eat it now, you know, but anyway, what I have noticed about her is she's lost her hearing, so she can't hear me anymore, which is awful.
Yeah.
But she's, as far as fitness goes, we walk, I understand the need for exercise. I had gotten injury myself and was kind of on my back for 6 weeks. And so she didn't get much exercise, but then I started exercising her as I got better, and she seems to have, you know, picked up a little because she was getting really groggy where she just wants to lay down and not do much. But again, she's 14. But like yesterday, I threw a tennis ball for her. She ran and got it, brought it back 3 or 4 times, and that's kind of good.
Yeah.
So I haven't noticed when she gets up, she's a little stiff, but I haven't noticed that silent pain I keep reading about, you know. So I don't know. I'm thinking that the lump it's growing a little because I can feel it now where I couldn't feel it before.
Yeah.
But I haven't tested.
I've seen many times that tumors inside, like really defined tumors, can stay in the body for years and years and years. And when you feed a raw food diet and you do all the right things, it seems like it, you know, you almost stop it from growing.
Right, and I'll give her 2 different mushroom supplements too that are to help, you know, the turkey tail and
are you giving the apricot seeds too?
Yes, she gets
Okay,
those
so
every
that's
night.
probably, that could be one of them that really slows down things. I've seen that too.
Yeah.
But another thing you can add in is because what's the last time you talked to me? Because I remember,
It's been a couple of years.
because your name is, you order stuff. I see
Yeah.
your orders, I think. Okay. So
Trust God.
boron is my newest thing now.
Oh,
The last
okay.
6 months for arthritis and any type of bone disease. It is almost too good to be true, the things I'm seeing. So I recommend anybody with an older dogs to add boron.
Okay.
And
And how
boron,
much do you add?
what
I
it
mean,
does, it prevents the calcium from leaving the bones, but it seems like also it takes the calcium from because it goes from the bone into the blood, and it gets weaker and weaker. But it seems to reverse that process and they get better. And I even noticed on my 11-year-old Dane, he's definitely much less stiff. He turns faster because he comes into my place here in my office here and he has to back out. Like there's not enough room for a turn. Now we start turning in there, and he did that when he was younger. So that's one of the, I said, wait a minute, he just turned.
cool.
Yeah, no, oh yeah, I love when I see things like that.
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
Something
yeah.
and he responds, but absolutely. And I want to start a study. So later, if you guys can email me or something, if you want to be part of that boron study, I'm going to tell you how to make it. It's like the easiest thing in the world to make, and you don't have to buy it anywhere. You make it from borax. Borax is that cleaning sort of thing.
Right, that
So you
powder.
take 1 liter of distilled water or some really clean water. So 1
Mhm.
liter. Then you take 1 teaspoon of borax into that, let it dissolve, sit there for a while.
Mhm.
And then you take 1 teaspoon from that. That is 3 milligram boron, and you add that to the food or however you want to give it. So you can start with 1 and then go 2 if they're a little bit older dogs. And it takes a while for you to notice something, but within a month or 2, you should see something.
Okay,
That's
we'll
how
try
you
that.
make it. And if you do that, please let me know, because I want to start a little side study on that, because I think I'm onto something.
I will.
Yeah.
But you
And for
know, I
humans
mean,
too, humans too, gosh.
yeah, I know I need it.
No, if you take it, then you know it's gonna work, because you absolutely, I got everybody I recommended to say, gosh, Tom, this is helping. So it will help. And you can Google boron and on YouTube, and there's a couple of good videos. There's a book about boron out there. The problem with boron is that it is not considered an essential mineral, so it's not listed as a requirement anywhere, but it should. How I find about it is I read a study and said, this is blowing my mind. It's in Jamaica, the incidence of arthritis is super high, like 60-70% get arthritis. In a place like Israel, it's less than 1%. And so and then they were wondering, and the thing is in the soil, is the boron content in the soil is completely different. There's nothing in Jamaica. There's a lot in Israel. It's the same place over in Turkey, where they had the same thing. A lot of boron and almost no arthritis. There's some places actually in Australia or New Zealand, I can't remember where it was, where it's low again. And then like Hawaii is high again because the boron is low there. So it's very, very interesting. And somebody actually, the whole thing with borax and boron originated from Australia. There was a guy over there that had arthritis, figure out that, tested it, helped for him, start telling his friends, help for them. And then he start spreading around. And at one point he just was sending out thousands of bottles that he made a month. And then he asked a company to help him, say, I can't do it. I get requests from all over the world. And that's when they sort of found out about him, and they sort of, I don't know what they call him in Australia, similar to FDA, but they shut him down and said, you can't sell this arthritis medicine. That's, you can't claim that. So he had to stop. But it was out there. People talked about it, but it's been quiet for so long. I knew about it about 6-7 years ago, and I just beat myself up now why I didn't act on it, but I didn't. But now, 6 months ago, I started really to try it, and I shared it with some friends, and other people had dogs with arthritis and stiff joints, and it's absolutely helping.
That's
So-
great. That's great.
That's going to be the biggest thing you take away from this one. I
Okay,
promise
that's
if you
good.
have it. But I will give it as a preventive thing, just anytime, just a teaspoon into the food or water. It has a taste to it, so some super sensitive dogs would taste it in the water. So give it with the food.
All right.
All right.
Okay, great. All right, that's it for me. I appreciate your work, and I can't wait to continue to check in with you. I haven't updated anything on Bella because I just didn't know that I needed to. So like I said, I haven't really been in communication as much as I should. So
No, that's all right. No worries. On the longlivingpets.com, there is one of the buttons that say update.
okay.
So you can just update your dog there. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Thank you, Dora. That was excellent.
Sure. Thank you.
Constance. Oh yeah, I'm screwing with that name again.
Hi. Yeah, with the boron, all the very young soils in the world are high in boron and all the other trace elements. So Himalaya is obviously one of the younger soils on the planet, and so the pink salt has boron in it naturally.
Yeah.
So that's something there.
I don't know if
And
it's enough. I don't think it's enough. Honestly, if you just give pink
Yeah.
salt, you need to give around 3 milligram. Seems to
Okay,
be
yeah.
lowest to get any effect. But in these places like Jamaica, it's way down, much lower than 3. In Israel, it's around 3 and more. So you need to give a little bit more to see some effect. But you're right. One of the reasons that there is no boron is all the sugar plantations and things that, however they grow sugar they are using to grow it and make it grow faster or whatever, it's killing boron. And the same in Hawaii. But there are these hot spots around the world where people have almost no arthritis, and they have then traced it back to decent boron content in the soils. It comes in through the food, it comes through the plant, it comes through the water. So these people are getting enough boron, and it obviously makes a difference.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely like to go on the boron study, but I have another comment completely unrelated, which might make the kind of the mechanisms of doing the study easier. You know how you said you're sending out reminders and people update every year, and you're kind of relying on people to remember, and then you've got the gaps from when their pet passed to when it's appropriate to send out their passed over survey and things. Have you considered using something like Survey Planet or one of those other survey programs? Because you can get them there. A lot of them are free for the basic version, and they do things like that where you can just automatically send out once a year, you resend the survey, and it might make the mechanisms of getting people to do their surveys a lot easier. I don't know if you've investigated it or not.
Every participant, I have my email list. So it's just me, not me sending it out. So when I send it out, I get the responses back, and I go through every single one of them, and it takes me months and months to get through because I get thousands of them back, and I read every single one of them because I'd see if there's anything I see, and then I have to log them into my where I store everything in my database. So it probably won't work with the database I have, and it's a reminder. It's more like a reminder, and they still have to go and find the form and fill it out. So
Oh,
no,
yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate it. So but I'm the one that has to trigger it. So then it could be something I can benefit from. But the easiest part is actually to send out the notification. I do that with one click. The hardest part is go when I get it back and then sit there and look at everything and then figure out where do I put this thing, because there's certain things I want to put in certain categories because they still dealing with certain things. And so that's the most time consuming part of it. It's I'm almost a year behind. So
And also my final comment or question is I joined the cancer prevention type of thing when we were doing the apricot kernels and the coconut oil. Can you refresh us, please, what your latest regime is to prevent cancer? Because you mentioned things like colloidal silver and stuff like that.
well, what the biggest thing is the diet, of course, the raw food diet, and limit vaccinations and expose the flea tick and heartworm, those toxins and chemicals, and exercise your dog. So that's the main thing. That's probably like 70-80% of it. And the simplest one then is the apricot seeds that I always add in 2 or 3 seeds every day or every other day or something. That doesn't have to be every day. With the colloidal silver is more to just prevent any type of bacteria or viral infection. So you just add a small amount to the water as a prevention. If something flares up or I get an issue or something, then I add more colloidal silver in there. So that is and then of course minerals. Minerals is the I think it's the one that's missing most. That could be one of the reasons that some raw fed dogs get cancer, because they're missing minerals. And those being MSM would be one that I think, but I can't say for sure, but this is just things I just have a strong feeling of. Magnesium, iodine could be one, because iodine messes with the thyroid, and the thyroid has so many functions in the body. So that would be another one. I add 1 drop of iodine into the food for my dogs every day. What's the other one I'm using? I do add mushrooms, like a little mushroom blend. I use that as a prevention thing that I add in. So I try not to do too many things, because when you feed a pretty good raw food diet, if you add minerals, trace minerals to that one, you cover most of the gaps. If you then add an egg in every other day or something like that, then you add even more really good nutritious minerals and vitamins. So that is sort of my prevention protocol. If you're dealing with certain things that get dogs to cancer, yes, I wrap that up to add many other things in, not many, but a few other things in there. But as a prevention thing, I for 20 years now, I really believe this apricot is something that is really good. But you Google that online, you're actually killing your dogs when you give it. So I did answer your
Yeah, thank you very
Or
much. Yeah,
something like
that's
that.
great. Yeah.
No, I think the most important is get a pretty good raw food diet where you have 3 to 4 proteins. You kind of during the week, you can do them all at the same time, or you can just spread them out. And then 2 or 3 organ meats, and then add the egg on top of that, and you will, feed some bones and things. But those things would just almost give you a complete, perfect diet nutrition wise. The problem here with many is oh, how do you know it's balanced? No, yeah, you will know that. The only one that knows that is your dog, because the dog is the one that will ask for what it needs to stay healthy. If they're missing something, it will look for it, and if it's in the food, it will take it. If it doesn't need it, it just passes through, and some will be organ reserves. They're stored as organ reserves. Carnivores store a lot of things in their organ for days with, in the wild. If they lived in the wild, they wouldn't get food every day, and they need energy to hunt. So they store a lot of things in their organs so they can still run a hunt and kill something, even when they go without food for days and days. So the thing that when you buy most of these raw feeding books out there, you get all these micronutrients and all that stuff you need to feed to balance the diet. And where those numbers come from, I have no idea. They're probably taken a little bit from the kibble bags on the back, and they try to convert that into raw food, how much nutrients, how much vitamins and minerals there is in 2 ounces of chicken and things like that. But nobody really knows that, because that was calculated many years ago. And the chicken you buy here can be totally different from the chicken you buy in UK or France or whatever. And so nobody really knows anything about what we're doing when it's talking about balancing the diet from the outside, which to me is perfectly fine because it doesn't happen that way, in my opinion. The body knows what it needs. The balance happens from inside. All we need to do is to provide the resources for it. And then the body will take, like I said, what it needs. So that takes away the whole calculation thing, the worry about, oh, am I balancing my food? Or no, you don't really have to worry. What you focus on is to give a variation of a raw food diet. So you get different proteins and things like that. So let me see, Yas, you back, yeah? You probably have some input on this, yeah?
Yeah, especially from the arthritis point of view, that's kind of like my bread and butter. Because I specialise in pain management of dogs and
Yeah.
trying to do it as naturally as possible. I think I have your book, but have you mentioned about diatomaceous earth before as a joint preventative thing? What was it that I feed it, but I can't remember the mechanics of why you said that was a good thing to add in for joint care.
You know, some say this is silica in
Right.
it's that kind of lubricates the joints, that helps the joints.
Right. Okay.
When you get older, you lose that silicon in the body, it kind of depletes, so the body is not good at producing silicon anymore, or get it from this type of resource. So but I can't prove it if it helps or not. Absolutely not. I have no evidence. This is things that I picked up, or since there are silica in diatomaceous earth, I think, okay, that makes sense. But if it works or not work, I can't say, because I never tried a case or seen a case where we give it or didn't give it and there was a difference. So
yeah,
it's the same thing. We come back to this, all what we do here in the natural world of helping dogs is all anecdotal.
Anecdotal. There was
works, we make a note of it. If it works again, that's how I work. I make a note of it. If I see it worked like 3 or 4 times, I say, okay, something going on here. This is working. So that's as far as scientific I get, but that's sort of a little bit scientific. You see things repeat itself. That's how science work. But so, I agree. I don't know.
We take a lot from, especially when we're studying, we take a lot from human studies and apply it. But there was a really interesting comment that came up that said that the link between cancer and neutering rates. And there is a study, it was called the Golden Retriever Lifetime Study, I think it was. It's fairly new, I think it only came out last year. And they found that Golden Retriever bitches should never be neutered because it pretty much guaranteed them to get cancer from the cohort that they had as take part in their study.
Wow.
And I would like mine aren't. Mine are still all intact, male and female.
Yeah. So it was neutering and cancer rates. And I only found that it was secondary because I was looking at cruciate rupture rates in neutered and non-neutered dogs. Because in Norway, is neutering classed as like unnecessary? It's not something that's done common practice. Because in the UK, it's 6 months. Let's get them neutered. It's quite a big push.
Well, I don't live in Norway anymore, but over here in the United States, even worse. I mean, they just say neutering is just
Someone's just put that then female was neutered at 6 weeks.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. If you do it, I don't do it. My dog, well, the one I rescued before, of course, I don't rescue anymore because no, that's one. And another problem is that they want my dogs to be vaccinated I have at home before I can take a rescue dog in. So that's not going to happen. No. So, but the last one I got, the last Dane is 3 years old. He's not neutered, not vaccinated, nothing. He's completely free of everything. So no, taking an organ, a part of the body out, they obviously that's going to mess with it. But I do understand, with cats and stuff like, there's a way of limit population so that it's a really tough thing to, but I don't think it's a good thing. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I think like I've worked a lot with Romanian rescue dogs and neutering that it's a necessity to try and control the stray population over there. But I think if it was you have the option, I mean, from a musculoskeletal point of view, to leave the dog at least to a minimum maturity age and then add another 6 months year on if you absolutely have to or want to. Leave it as long as possible, especially with your giant breeds. It is so important. I had a English Bull Mastiff come to me and his parents were talking about neutering him at 6 months, and with a hip dysplasia ? Diagnosis, I was like, absolutely not. You're going to make everything a lot worse. So I've managed to hold him off, and he's 3 years old, and have booked him in for neutering despite my thoughts, but at least he's got through maturity. But I would have left him, well, forever, if not until 4 or something like that.
No,
for
at least
breed.
they're full grown. Like Danes take more than a year to be full grown. Other
Yeah.
dogs can be full grown before a year. Absolutely,
Yeah.
wait they're full grown. And yeah, if you go, you are going to absolutely totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, you know, I see neuter dog doing fine all the way. Don't get cancer, nothing. So there are dogs. It's not the most devastating thing to do, but obviously it messes with the entire system when you remove an organ.
Yeah.
It wasn't meant to be done that, so we're doing that for a different reason than health. I
Yeah.
definitely know there are people say, oh, you gotta castrate your dog, or if you don't get testicular cancer and those things later, but I don't know if there's anything to that. I think because the problem now with all the numbers we deal with cancer and all those things, like based on kibble-fed dogs, everything
Yeah.
up the years and diseases, chronic diseases, all based on kibble-fed dogs. So the numbers are so different from what they will see in raw-fed dogs. So we have not been feeding raw enough to see the difference. So like that's one of the things I'm trying to do, that there is a difference when you feed a raw in all aspects of a dog's life. Longevity from chronic disease and everything. But when you go, that's when people are so frustrated, they go with it, they get cancer, they go to the vet and they say, oh, you have 4 to 6 months if you do this and this and this. If you do chemo 6 months, if you not do nothing in 3 months. So they know this, and these are all based on kibble-fed dogs. So when they come to me and I said, you know, I can help you, but I have one requirement only, nothing else. You do whatever you need to. If you don't switch to raw-fed diet, I cannot help you, because I've never seen a dog survive cancer on the raw-fed diet. But just by doing that, they already beat its numbers every single time what the vet predict, because they live past the 3 months in most cases, unless it's super severe. Not in every case, I shouldn't say that. But it lengthened their life, and they see an improvement, the quality of life, even in a kibble-fed dog with cancer. And when they switch, there is a difference. But again, every number, everything out there is based on kibble-fed dogs, and they're usually vaccinated every year, full of everything the vet recommend. So there's a different world, the world of raw feeding and kibble, vaccination, flea tick and heartworm is so we're working with numbers that we on the raw fed shouldn't pay too much attention to, because they're based on things we don't do. So it is a little difficult sometimes to tell, you know, you see a veterinarian and you say that and they are shaking their heads and don't believe in that. But I just, since you mentioned the comments, oh my gosh, I missed so many comments.
It was one quite far up, and I just wanted to kind of draw attention to it because it is, well, for me anyway, the neutering debate, or whatever you want to call it, is really important. I neutered my boy at 6 months because that's what I was told to do. We then have bilateral luxating patella and cruciate damage, as well as a host of emotional issues as well. So it's just, you do different if you knew different at the time.
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you.
Yeah, let me go see if I can go through this. M registered dog pass now. Do I register also a new dog? Yeah, M register a new dog if you can. The ones that think I'm sending out the special update, this is the same. Like I sent the notification about this meeting, is exactly the same. I'm sending from or to. So if you are on the, if you got this email from, you know, with the Zoom meeting, you also will get the updates. There's no difference. I'm sending it through the same. So I'm also overdue, SB overdue for an update. My girls passed away, so I'll put them on my list. Okay, EQK. Sorry to hear that. Where's the hand? I guess the hand is down on the bottom here somewhere. Where's the hand again? In there, more? Is it more? No.
It's in the reactions.
Yeah, reactions. Yeah, yeah. If somebody asked about that, yeah.
That was me. Found it.
You found it. Oh, so somebody, Suzanne Ball, as a golden retriever, past 14 years old. That's a good for a golden retriever, and it wasn't cancer. Excellent. Found it, Rofi died. Okay, tumor in stomach, haven't tested her. I think I talked to you. Can we, yeah, pink salts you can give to cats. I do. Because every animal needs some sort of salt. You just give them less, of course. What I do that coarse thing, and I kind of grind it and then sprinkle that over the food. Yeah, I agree. Like what is saying, attendance low. Yeah, this went out to almost 3,000, 2,500 people, and I have 17 here. So, but I didn't expect a lot of people to be that interested that they want to get engaged and talk to me and stuff. But it's okay. It's what it is. And but if you guys are interested in continue this, I will. So, and also said, I believe whether dog is neutered or not plays a big role in the cancer prevention. I totally agree. And that's something I definitely want to test too. And I don't have a lot of not neutered dog. I mean, it's like almost nobody, everybody has neutered a dog. So I don't know how I'm going to get some numbers out of that. But I agree. I think a not neutered dog have a stronger prevention against cancer or any other disease for that matter. Okay. So one of your dogs cannot eat poultry, makes her itchy and red. We feed elk, deer, bison, beef. Oh, that's good sources. It's not the end of the world if you can't feed poultry. You're feeding a lot of other good things. But the leaky gut is really, really hard to test that. You can't really test it with a leaky gut. So that's why no veterinarian would ever talk about it. But if you have an older dog, been on kibble, been vaccinated, adopted maybe, then do that product I mentioned, Fidospore. Fidospore is something I would put a dog on if you suspect a leaky gut. If you have allergies, a lot of itchiness and things like that going on that you can't seem to get rid of, even on a raw food diet, that could be it. And another thing I found out with itchy dogs on a raw food diet, it doesn't go away, iodine is one of those things that fixed it too. So P said that they did a NutriScan, oh, it's good, but eliminating diet worked the best. So you just try different proteins and you start eliminating things. Yeah, that's I see your question now, Constance, about the cancer prevention diet. We talked about that. So my dog has high T, high in liver enzymes, and commercial raw has no standard. Worry about the balance, and I don't have the skills to do. So you try cooked food. Okay, so T, if you can contact me, I need to know Tina Austin. Oh yeah, I think I talked to you before. I need to know a little bit more. Are you part of my other, I think you are in that other network I have for the Long Living Pets Academy. I think you're in there. I can't remember. Oh, I haven't heard this, Penny. There's a big push on the market for crocodile meat. What is your opinion about predators eating predators? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure crocodile meat has a lot of good nutrients in it. So if your dog eats it, I don't see it can do any damage. But, you know, that's just now. I don't know. I never heard of this. I sort of have maybe, but I never really looked into it. I feel unmuted, not mode. I think I got two golden retriever were neutered before, and they both had ligament problems and needed operation. Yeah, That's Susanna. Didn't we talk? No, we didn't. Try boron on them if you know if they're still around. I think because they're going over an hour, so I'm trying to figure out what's let me see, not been there, nothing that should be done. Omega-3 krill oil. Yeah, omega-3, I add a little bit to the food. I don't add as much as I recommend, not for any reason, but I can't imagine that they can find that. I'm trying to mimic nature for everything I do, and I can't imagine I can find a lot of omega-3 out in the, you know, if they live in the wild and the system is set up for, but absolutely omega-3 is something I believe in too. Phytospore is amazing. Okay, Penny, you have tried Phytospore, adding slippery elm bark and cave. Yeah, slippery elm is good for loose stools and things like that, especially when you're switching to something new and a dog has a little bit of a reaction to it. Slippery elm can be good. Yeah, Tina, this is a recording, so I will share it with people in the study. I won't put it on YouTube or anything like a public thing, but I will send a link to everybody part of the study so they can, you know, look at them or listen to a replay of this. Okay, I got through most of them. If I missed anything, please let me know. I raced through this thing way too fast. All right, anybody else has, Laura, do you have more questions? I see your hand is up. Maybe you.
Yes, I do. I just wanted to check with you. When you said organ meats, I don't give Bella many organ meats. I have these treats, dried liver treats.
Yeah.
That are they're just liver. There's nothing else in them. And so I give her a handful of those with her meal, but I don't give her any other organ because she doesn't like them. She won't eat them.
Yeah.
How do you suggest I get those to her?
Well, there are also supplements, organ meat supplements out there. You know, you can try that.
Okay.
What is like, gosh, what's it called again? There's if you go on Amazon and just search organ meat, organ meat supplements, something like that, so you can get in a supplement form.
Yeah, I sometimes don't trust some of those.
I
but-
know you gotta look at the sources a little bit, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
if you have a question about it, send it to me and ask me if you think that's a good
Okay.
one.
All right. And then the other thing I was going to say is, you know, I fed my dog chicken, just chicken breasts with ribs, like a quarter chicken for so many years. Just that's all I fed her. And I'm wondering, she has a lot of fatty lumps on her, external ones, you know, that golden retrievers get those anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if the chicken is what did that, since I fed her just crappy chicken from HEB or, you
Could
know.
be it could be some of the, you know, the stuff they put into the chicken to make
Yeah,
profiles.
mean,
What do you call them again?
Because I don't know why else she would be getting a tumor in her
Well,
stomach.
fatty tumor is usually something that the body can't figure out. What is this? It's not bad enough to purge it. It's not bad enough to digest or utilize it. So they kind of put it in the fatty layer, like a sort of like a storage thing.
Yeah,
And usually that consists of things that the body can figure out. It's not dangerous or anything. And I mean, there's a fatty tumor, and as long as you move with the skin. But that's what most people think it is. And I can't say that for 100% sure, but it makes sense to me. And yes, when you feed a lot of chicken, I see that is one other people have said the same. But what you definitely should start adding some red meat or things like that. It doesn't have
oh,
to.
yeah, I don't feed her chicken anymore because
Oh,
she
okay.
she started getting really itchy and stuff, and that's what my vet said. Well, the one vet that I trust said, you know, cut out the chicken and feed her others. So now she gets beef and salmon and sardines, and that's about her 3
Now, red
programs.
meat is absolutely one of the things that I think they need. Some sort. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to feed. It's so expensive, so you can just feed a little bit of it. But add another organ meat. Well, if you don't, can do it, like liver and kidneys are usually not that hard to find, but it's, or you need to buy it directly from one of these raw food manufacturers, like We Feed Raw or something like that. It's a pretty good company. I think they
Yeah.
have it. I think Answers Pet Food. They have some raw here in the United States.
Okay. Yeah, so that's that. And then one more thing about vaccinations is I quit vaccinating her after her 5th year, because that's when I started becoming aware of how bad they were.
Yeah.
And so she, you know, and I've been testing her a little bit for rabies here and there. She has not gone to a vet. She's all last year, she did not see a vet.
All right, that's good.
And yeah, and she doesn't have any issues other than the damn lump in her stomach. But I mean, she doesn't seem to have anything affecting her. But I would normally get a you know, every year an annual test, her blood test and stuff like that. And I have not. But the last titer test, or titer, however you say it, that I had, she was still, after, you know, she's 14. I quit it when she was 5. She still had some immunity for
Oh.
rabies.
For how long is that span? These things interest me because I'm trying to figure out how long some of these things last in dogs. So the last vaccination for rabies was before that?
Well, I last vaccine was about when she was 5. And then the last titer test I had was she was about 10. So in 5 years, she still had
Yeah,
immunity. But
that's.
I haven't tested her
should be-
since then.
I'm just, I'm curious beyond that, because that's usually they will show up at least 5, 6, 7 years. They will see some, then they start tapering off, because the
Yeah.
body doesn't, when the body's not exposed to these viruses, it doesn't actively make antibodies. There's no need for that. The body is smart enough to know that, but they hide it in memory cells. And unfortunately, memory cells cannot be detected by anything. So they assume, oh, this dog had no immunity against rabies. I believe they have for their whole lifetime. It's
Yeah.
just hidden in memory cells.
Yeah.
And that's bad for business, you know, for these virus company. You know, they want to make.
Yeah, it is. I mean, because for me, I'm from Texas. Right now I'm living in New York, but
Yeah.
they have strict rabies rules
Oh,
for
yeah.
even going to a national park. And I haven't vaccinated my dog, and I was having a vacation with my family. We go into a national park and they said, we need to see her rabies vaccine. I'm like, oh man. And
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to get to camp out with my family. And then we somehow, don't tell anyone this, found an old vaccination record and put the current date on it so I would qualify. But you know, that's just, it's hard. It's hard. Like, I want to go get her groomed in a new place. Well, I have to show them a vaccination record,
So
and I don't
difficult.
have it.
Yeah, no, it's horrible. It's so difficult, and it is absolutely the worst one. This is the one I see worst reaction from is rabies vaccines.
Right. I know I had a dog, a golden retriever lab mix for 14 years. And most of those years she had itchy ears. I was always giving her that ear stuff.
Mm.
And I think a lot of that was the fact that she was on every vaccine and every,
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
one,
Yeah, it damages the immune
poison,
system.
all
Absolutely.
of it.
I mean, all these things come from a compromised immune system, because most dogs with a healthy immune system don't get sick. They can handle things. Yes, they can get sick. They can get a virus, they can get a bacteria, but they survive. Take a couple of days and they're fine again.
Like
But
humans.
yeah, the same humans, but with a compromised immune system, they can't recover in sometimes, and one things lead to another and get worse and worse. And you get on the antibiotics and steroids and prednisone and all this, and you still just keep killing the immune system, and eventually they sit there with a big tumor somewhere.
Yeah.
This is a horrible way we're dealing with long-term or any type of medication. It's short-term I can handle, but any type of long-term medication is really devastating. Let me read a long post there. No, Suzanne, I know what you're saying there about promoting what I'm doing, but this is only for the people in my study. I don't want this to be one of those things that people join in from all over the world. I want to make this a service to people that helping me with my studies. So I will only keep it in this group. So that's why I don't announce it anywhere else. So it's just being announced inside the ones that are participating in the study. So I want to keep it that way for this. I might go out and do other things, but I don't really have time to promote any, I did a lot of that before raw feeding. I got on different podcasts and stuff, but I kind of limit myself a little bit for that. But I want to work with the people that actually believe in what we're doing and feeding a raw food diet, and you guys can promote the raw food diet as much as you can, but I want to see if we can create a good group in here where we can test new things, try new things, share what's working, not working, and things like that. That's sort of my goal. So if there is a small group, I'm fine with that. As long as we sort of share things. I'm all about sharing. And yes, I talked a lot in this one, but later I hope if you guys want to do this again, that we can share more. And I love what you guys have shared here so much, because it just confirms what we're doing is the right thing. And there are people out there that know much more about this than I do. I'm just recording and documenting things and look for trends. And if I see things repeat itself, I will share that. Yeah, I know chicken is bad. Yeah, mass produced with tons of hormones and antibiotics and all that. Absolutely agree. And but then again, is it better than raw food? No, kibble. So sometimes people have no choice. Should I feel that sort of bad chicken or kibble? I still think that bad chicken is worse. No, I mean better, and kibble is much worse. So it's still much better. But if you have a choice, of course, you had the money. Organic chicken from some wonderful place, it would be the best. But most people can't afford that. And so that's still better, and that's what I do, because I don't want to be one of those that I say I buy chicken somewhere. I buy it in a grocery store and know it's not the best, but my Dane's easily past 10 years old, and 11 or 12 or 13 is the highest, and I think the youngest one I have now is going to set a new record for me at least. But if you can mix it and add this other, I think the worst thing with yes, the probiotics and all this, not probiotics, but antibiotics and all this is bad. But if you add some minerals in there to complement for what might be missing in the food, it makes a big difference. Yeah, raw feeding Miami is a good place too. Absolutely, Barbie. I like what they do. Somebody asked about not this, I think it was essential oils, because I see another Boswellia also seem to help with inflammatory. I think it is. The problem with all these essential oil, not oils, the CBD oils and essential, the quality is up and down. Maybe not so much with essential oil, but especially with CBD. It's all over the place. You can buy one brand and it seems like it's working, and then 2 months later and you buy it again and nothing works. So it's no control over it. So, but if you find a really good company, I'm always interested. If you have good experience with CBD oil, I want to hear about it, because I don't have any really, so I can go out and say that CBD oil helps. I do think it does, but I don't have any specifically. So if anybody will have any input on that, I'm totally willing to listen.
Does here, I am here. Can you hear me?
Penny? Yes.
Hi, Thomas, sorry. Sorry to butt in. I joined late.
No, that's fine. It's perfectly fine.
In South Africa.
No,
We
perfectly.
had load shedding. So I've missed the first hour, unfortunately, because they shut off our power for 4 hours a day.
Oh my God. Where do you
And
live? Where are you?
I'm in South Africa and in the
Oh.
capital city of Pretoria.
Oh.
So yeah, I apologize for being late, and I've been desperately wanting to meet you and have a chat to you about the cancer aspects, because I've got two very elderly Basset girls who have both had cancer, which I have managed to eliminate, I hope, out of their bodies by switching them over to a raw food diet, and then I use a CBD protocol as well with them.
All right.
Which is what I like about the CBD, because my first girl, when she came to me, she was 11 in 2020, and had a huge tumor in her abdomen, and they actually thought she was on heat because she was bleeding as if she was on heat, but it was blood droplets which came out every 30 seconds. We obviously removed the tumor in her abdomen. She had another tumor behind her neck here and an epulis in her gum, right near the lower canine. Put her onto a raw food diet after the operation and a high dosage of CBD with about 2% THC in it. And 3 months later, we went back to the vet who had said to her, she's got 2 months to live.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh my God, what have you done? Because the cancer is gone.
Wow.
And I said, this is what raw food and CBD does. She's still with us and celebrated her 3rd Christmas with us this year.
Oh,
So
okay. You need to tell me more about that at one point and tell me what CBD and all that you use. So I'll hook up with you.
we're
a little
actually
later.
using a hemp extract, which is organically grown in Johannesburg South.
Okay.
We use MCT oil as the carrier.
Okay.
And then we only put in 2% THC into it. So it's an organic hemp, which hasn't been sprayed with any pesticides or anything.
Okay.
I think it's more of the sativa range than the indica range, but it's a full spectrum.
Yeah.
But I think that linked in with the raw food. Now, as I've been going through the whole cancer aspects, I'm a pet nutritionist here in South Africa, and I've actually built up like a cancer protocol for it. So I use kefir, turkey tail, CBD, and raw dog food. And the turkey tail for my cancer clients now has been absolutely amazing. Turkey tail is something which I think everybody needs to kind of look into from an anti-inflammatory point of view as well.
Yeah.
And then in February last year, we adopted another very old girl. The vet at that stage when we adopted her said she was about 10, and our assessment last month, the vet thinks she's about 14 years old. It looks like from x-rays that she's had a history of being in a car accident where her pelvis was severely fractured, and she's got an amputated tail. When she came to me, she couldn't walk more than 5 steps and was obese. So put her onto raw food, and I did my protocols with her with the CBD and the anti-inflammatory aspects that I use. This dog now walks 2 kilometers, hops around like an absolute little bunny, and she is developing all sorts of weird little skin tags and lumps and bumps. I think it's more of an age-related issue than an inflammatory issue. It's just I'm trying to monitor it. I'm not concerned because they're not hot. There's no inflammation. It doesn't look red and angry. So due to her age of what we know that she's a very, very senior dog at the moment and has got a bad history, but we're maintaining it. And she's a happy, healthy dog who's still eating. I haven't actually added her to the study yet. I only realized tonight. I said to my husband, I forgot to add Chloe.
No, that is so impressive. I think the fatty tumors also, like in your case, because now you do so many good things, is sort of like a detox reaction that you cannot purge it properly. Like in normal older dogs, it's not that good at purging toxins or chemicals, so they will maybe just store it in their fatty layer instead. That's easier for them. Oh, I think she disappeared now. Yeah. No, there you are.
Yeah, to do like a liver detox.
That could be one. What's happening too, because you do see fatty. So one of the reasons fatty tumors, because there are stuff in there that the body should normally purge, but you know, if it can't purge it, I think they will store it in places, and one place to store things is in the skin and the fatty layers. So that's one of the reasons too. And yeah, like you said, it's not dangerous. It's one of those things that dogs use for not to get worse, in the sense to get rid of it in their circulatory systems, that it doesn't circulate around the body. At least it sits in this tumor somewhere, you know, in a fatty tumor, and doesn't do any harm. So body is just so much smarter than we can ever imagine, and doing things that we don't understand. But this is very impressive. I'm so glad you came on and shared that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
But
because
yes,
I do feel like CBD has things that you can do, beneficial things. But the problem, there's so many that use it that don't see anything, and then there are people that swear by it. Okay, this is the best thing ever. So I want to collect those stories. I want to.
I think the aspect is because it's becoming so prevalent in the normal shops that they're selling isolates, and people seem to think that the isolates is the same thing as using a full spectrum. But when you're using a full spectrum, when you're using the whole plant, the same
Yeah.
way that we're using whole foods,
Yes, yes.
that's what benefit. Because we all have our
Some
own
synergy effect there. They all help each other work better. So you take parts. So that's what you see in the world when they mix things, that find plants that grow together, that grow side by side, and they mix that into. That's what they do in Chinese and over in Indian medicine. There's a lot of those things they look at. What's the synergy of different things, and they put it together. And I believe that's also with the full spectrum. You got to use the whole thing, whole plant.
Yeah,
And-
it's called the entourage effect.
Yes. You know way more than that because I'm not a nutritionist in that sense. I'm a carnivore nutritionist, and that much easier.
I try, but I appreciate you. Thank you.
This is so THC. Is it not? That's okay to sell in South Africa.
So, yeah, it is at the moment when it is used from a registered product aspect and when it is provided by a practitioner who is registered, which is why I went and I did my entire course to be able to deal with it. As long as the THC is less than 2% for dogs and it needs to be less than 1% for cats, and it needs to come from a hemp base, not a marijuana base.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. I'm so glad you shared that. And you came on, and the power came on, or whatever it was. Yeah. So they shut the power off to save something. It's a.
We've got major infrastructure problems due to the corruption from our government, and they have been maintaining our power grid. So that we don't have complete blackouts, they shut us off for about 8 to 12 hours a day with
Yeah.
electricity.
Oh my-
It's very challenging trying to run a business in this environment, but we are making it work slowly but surely.
Yeah. No, good. No, I'm glad you came on. Thank you so much.
Your blessings.
Diana, you want to?
Dr. Sandberg,
Yeah.
I just, I know I've kind of been, this is Laura
Yeah,
again.
hi, Laura.
And I know I've been kind of monopolizing your time. I don't mean to, but I just thought of one other thing that I thought I should tell you about as because I'm blaming this on her age, is that she has started chewing on herself.
Doing
She
what?
chew- She started chewing like on her feet, on her back, and when I look, there's nothing there. And then, and like the other day, I walked over to the neighbors and I was gone an hour. I came back, she had completely chewed the back of her back till it was raw and red, like hot
Okay,
spot.
so you have the colloidal silver, yeah?
Yeah, I have that. I
Well,
should give
up
her
that dose for 2 weeks, like go more in the water and then put 10, what's the weight of the dog?
65 about.
Okay, so put 20 milliliter 3 to 4 times directly in the mouth with a syringe. Do that for
Okay.
2 weeks.
I've been, 2 weeks. Okay. I've been doing it, but I think I ran out, so I gotta go get some more.
Yeah, you need you get on that higher dose, and when things get better, you can just go down.
Okay.
But do that
Great.
for a couple of weeks. Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
And there was somebody else, Diana. Yeah. Diana.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
First of all, Happy New Year to all. And
Mhm.
please, sorry for my basic English. I am a Spanish speaker, but I try to do my best, okay?
Where are you from again? Yes.
Eh,
Peru?
From
No.
Ecuador,
Oh, Ecuador.
in
Okay.
South America. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I have three dogs, and I knew you maybe 5 years ago,
Mm.
and I wrote you because I naturopath too.
I think I
And
remember. that. Yeah.
I would like to
Yeah, you
share-
wanted to help me with this, with things you offer some, helping out with that little tribe group or something. Was that you? Yeah.
yes in your center.
All right. So
But
the next.
that was some months before the pandemic, and
Mm.
everything got to the health.
No, I remember more and more now. Absolutely. We need to reconnect them because looking for people all over the world that, are naturopaths and understand what you and I are doing. It's not many of us. Most of us look at us, we are quacks, we just crazy people that think everything can heal itself, which it can actually. That's what we
Yeah.
promote. And go ahead. Sorry. I remember.
No.
Please.
Now, thank you.
email
Thank
me.
you for your opening and everything, and your work also. I have three dogs. I told you. One of these is she's a muñeca.
No.
A muñeca now is 15 years old, and all my work in naturopathic, I moved to the animals for sheep. When I adopted her, she was 4 years old, and she had a cardiopathy, pulmonary problems, and terrible allergies. And basically, all the vets told me that the better is the euthanasia.
Yeah.
Okay, but I learned for the nutritional properties, and well, I only want to share with you some things. Okay.
Yeah.
To take health, we need to know that it's important some resources in the same importance. Okay. For example, first of all, how is your life? How is your emotional environment? Because our animals absorb all our unbalanced emotions. Okay.
Yeah, the energy. They can detect our state of mind and energy. Absolutely agree, 100%.
Yes, and is one of the emotional problems is the first of the illness. Okay, is the first part of the illness. What else? For example, the food, the nutrients is another important resource. For example, the nutritional diet, the raw diet. I learned from Ian Billinghurst. I take a specialty in nutrition for dogs. What else? The physical activity is one of the important part of the health. The harmony between the organism and in all our body, in all our organisms is basically okay. But for example, one of the problem in the illness is the exposure to the toxins in foods, for example, because the pesticides, the preservatives in foods, animal that we consume, they are with all the antibiotics, the sterile nutrition that they take, pollution, for example, etc. I worked, for example, with homeopathic medicine, with orthomolecular medicine, what else? Adaptogens, health that Penny talked about them, with many resources. Okay, but when I understand that when we understand that we go to the origin of the problems, we can fix everything.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I work now in the cellular nutrition. Okay, and I urge you that maybe if you want to could buy this book. We understand that in the biotechnology, we go to the origin of all the illnesses, because the biotechnology try to the organism work in the perfect way, and the result that is health. For the biotechnology, is not important what is the name of the illness. Maybe it could say maybe the cancer or diabetes or what else. But when we go to the cellular, we can fix everything. Okay,
Yeah,
and I want to maybe later talk with you about this this resource, because we have now many results in, for example, with the company where I work to, they take 80 patents, 3 of in cancer, for example, 1 in autism for people, but it's not a problem because this biomolecule that name is glutathione. I don't know if you hear before.
Oh yeah, no, totally believe in that. Yes.
All the cellular needs water, food, and glutathione.
Yeah.
Okay. Glutathione have many functions in our organism.
Yeah.
But the first principle is, for example, is an modulates the immune system.
Mhm.
When we modulate the immune system, we can defend of all the pathogens, prevent illness. Okay, the other functions of glutathione is detoxify all our cells. Okay, and it is important to detoxify because many illness, the problem is, for example, in the food allergy, is because we have many toxins inside.
Yeah.
Right? If first of all we can't detoxify, the problem will be there. Okay, and the other function, for example, is repairs and regenerates all of affected or damaged cells.
Mhm.
And we need to know that every illness is because the cell of the part is damaged.
Yeah.
If we can repair and regenerate, we know that the health is possible.
Yeah. No.
Okay. And the last a function is that glutathione is the master antioxidant.
Yeah.
Okay, and many scientists say that if we can lograr, no sé cómo se dice en inglés, if we elevate the glutathione levels in our organisms, in all living being organisms, the health is completely okay.
No,
maybe sorry for my English, sorry for to all.
no, you're doing fine. You're doing fine.
And I would like to talk with you later, maybe to discuss about.
No, I want to talk to you about it, absolutely, because I don't know that book. Where's that coming from? Who wrote it?
It's from Dr. Jimmy Gottman, and you can buy in this place.
No, but there is no doubt that glutathione is one of the, like you said, master antioxidants, and then triggers all kinds of different functions in the body, and it's important to have it there. And there are many ways to increase it. So that's why we'll see what they write in that book. I've read a couple of books on it, so I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
So, and that could be one of these missing links that you see in raw-fed dogs with cancer. Maybe they're not making enough glutathione, you know. But I agree with you on a cellular, it all starts on a cellular level. If you're healthy cell, then will replicate itself healthy cells. If you have damaged cells, then it can replicate itself, then you keep replicating damaged cells, which is really bad. And this is what we try with a good immune system that is prevented, because the body can recognize bad cells and they will lead them into apoptosis. And they won't
Yes.
let the body replicate them. But when we damage the immune system, so many unhealthy damaged cells are allowed to replicate themselves. And that's why we never, get into good health. And this is especially happening in kibble-fed dogs that get vaccinated and all these things that damage the immune system. We have created a perfect storm to create cancer and shorter lives in dogs. And it's frustrating that this is what most people would do because they think it's the right thing. Kibble, vaccination, using the Flea-tick-and heartworm, all these things, it just created this perfect storm to damage the immune system. We all have cancer cells. Everybody has cancer cells. I have cancer. All dogs have cancer cells. But if the body's healthy, it recognizes it and deal with it. So I think most cancer is just a result of a weak immune system. That's the main cause of cancer, is the weak immune system allow cancer to develop. A body that gets exposed to toxic elements, and a healthy body like a dog happen to run into something really toxic and come out of it, whatever that is, the humans do. If you have a healthy immune system, it will handle that, will survive. Unless it's some super poisonous things, of course, but it's all about the immune system. Whatever we can do to build a strong immune system is where we see longer life, less cancer, less anything. So that all starts with the diet, and that's why we're all here, because we do understand that dogs are carnivores and they thrive on a raw food diet.
Yes.
And then we can help on top of that, because if you had taken a dog out from the natural environment, they were never meant to live in a home with humans. I mean, dogs still have the digestive system of a carnivore, and what they do, they run and they hunt something down, they eat it and kill it. And then they roam around looking for food. They get tons of exercise. They live in the nature. They're not exposed to toxic chemicals. And now we brought them into our home, and the gap between what's natural and the environment we have created is so big. So if you can narrow that, the healthier the dog's going to be. Cats too, So that's what naturopaths, we're trying to create an environment where the body can heal itself. It's a pretty simple concept. There's nothing quacky about it, It's just what can we do to create a strong immune system that the dog can thrive on. So great with that dog. How old was it when you adopted that dog? Was so messed up?
She now is 15 years old.
Yeah,
and
but
I
how
adopted
old?
when she was 4 years old.
Okay, and you have no idea what happened before that. It probably went through all kinds, yeah. And
No.
obviously something terrible happened because it was completely messed up when you got the dog, yeah. And that was 15 years. This is the same. I had the Great Dane that everybody given up on. The vet asked me, why would you adopt this Dane? He's a mess. He can't run. Teeth are so brown. He's just no energy, no nothing. No, that's the dog I want. And I took him in. I was 4 years old, and the vet said, this dog is not going to live a year, maybe 6 months, but never a year. And he lived till he was 13. Beat all odds completely. All I did was switching to raw food diet, and this is a long time ago, and a lot of things I didn't know at that time I didn't do. But just switching to raw food diet, it just bounced back like I'd never seen before. Start running again, teeth got all cleaned up. I did that one cleaning because every tooth was brown, and he was locked up in the garage for all his life. He's never been outside, and fed the cheapest kibble ever. So you had a little, damage from there. But adding all those years and living to 13 was just mind blowing. And I knew from there on, there's no way I would never ever feed a raw food diet to a dog. So it works.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else
I write you
Yeah, please write, and we can go on a Zoom or something, and you explain this, talk about it a little bit more, and then we can share it with everybody else later. With iPad, the guest, you have a hand up. I don't know who you are, but there you are. Okay, cool. Unmute yourself and you can talk. Oh my gosh, we're almost 2 hours into this, I think. Okay. I don't blame you guys if you have to leave. Can you, I guess I have to call the iPad. Can you just unmute yourself? There's some on the bottom there. There's a mute, unmute, like on the bottom of the screen. You should be able to. Because he can't hear you. Why do you figure that out? Anyone else have any questions or anything? Or I'm gonna try to end it.
Unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, 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 yes.
So you can hear me?
Yes. Oh, you
Oh, okay.
got
Can you
yourself.
see me?
Yes, can see you and the dog.
Yeah. Okay. I adopted a lady at age 4. She
Okay.
was dumped. She is now nearing 18 and a half.
Is it a Dane?
I started raw feeding her
Looks like
slowly after I adopted her. She's been running off lead twice a day since she was 6. I have never fleed her. I very rarely worm her.
Yeah.
I stopped vaccinations at age 13. She eats a lot of fish. She has a fish oil tab daily. She's been on CBD oil for about 10 years, no TLC in it. She has regular blood tests. Her last blood test this year, they have never seen a blood test like that on an 18-year-old dog.
Wow.
She doesn't have any health issues. She got an old age dog's eye disease at age 16, never been sick until then. She's partially blind in one eye. A year after that, she got vestibular. She's had that 3 times, but we get through that. She still has little runs. She still swims. She still jumps. You know, she's going to outlive me.
How big is that dog?
She's an English pointer. So
And-
she's a good medium-sized dog.
Yeah, that's amazing.
She,
I mean,
yeah,
the background. It's say again. When did you adopt the dog?
she was 4.
4, yeah. Okay, so you don't
Her
know.
basic diet is wild rabbit.
Okay,
I buy chicken frames,
Yeah.
a lot of chicken. She has all organ meat. You name it, raw, she
Right.
has it.
yeah, that you limit all the toxin, the vaccines, and all that. You're doing all the right things. Gosh.
Yep. She's look, I'm in a Pointer Worldwide Facebook group, and she's a legend. They
Yeah.
just love her. She's
That's
she's an amazing dog. Amazing.
you can live to 20 easily. I think.
Yeah. Well, she's 19 the end of April. I'm pretty sure she's going to make that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, please.
Yep.
Are you part? Is it a part of the study? Did you register?
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite a few years now.
Well, you
She has I have a lot of videos on Instagram, Lady KB, so you can see exactly what she's like. She's
Okay.
also the smartest dog I've ever owned. She looks after herself these days.
Yeah.
She, you know, if we're down the beach, we spend a lot of time at the beach. She will put a foot in the water to test the depth of it to make near rock pools.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's sometimes it's like taking your grandmother out for the day. But yeah, she's amazing.
Unbelievable.
She's amazing.
This is
Yeah,
awesome.
hadn't been sick until she got to 16 with the developed an ulcer on her eye
Yeah.
and had a little operation, but it has had a little bit of improvement. But yeah, that's all that's wrong with her.
Have you tried to spray that with the color of the silver or something?
No, I've got special drops from the eye specialist. She
Yeah.
has every day. She has a checkup every 6 months.
Yeah.
And her last appointment, you know, you wouldn't believe it, there was an improvement. So she just amazes everybody.
Awesome.
She amazes everybody.
That's the stories I love to
you.
hear. No.
Mm.
Because I
There
don't,
she is.
no, it looks very healthy, alert. No, so you
Yep.
look around and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. We still go out twice a day. She expects 2 runs a day.
That's so important.
But yeah, yep. So this has been very interesting. But yeah, raw fed. I was feeding, you know, raw long before it became the flavour of the month.
Me
I
too.
just think it just makes sense.
Yeah, because if you could study that digestive system just a little bit, take half an hour
Yeah.
to study it, you understand, wait a
Yeah.
minute, this is meant for kibble and processed food.
No, I've never fed kibble. I dislike kibble immensely.
Yeah, no,
Never
and
fed it.
the absolutely best medicine is truly is medicine, the food.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
So
great.
I have to go.
Yeah, no,
So
thank
I'm glad you've met her.
you. No,
And
but-
check her out on Instagram. What are you doing? What are you doing? So if you people get a chance, check her out on Instagram, Lady KB, and you can see the energy that this dog has.
we will-
Yeah, organ meats, liver, kidneys. I don't buy any treats. I make all my own. I cook liver, kidneys, chicken hearts. I cut them up for treats and freeze them. I make dog biscuits, you name it, everything's in it. Chia seeds, powdered milk, kale. Oh, she's been having a lot of kale, silver beet and broccoli lately. She loves her kale. Yep.
So you put it, in the chat, you know how to go into the chat there, put a link or name in there so we can find her.
Okay, I will do that. Yes.
Yeah, there's
She
a-
also has, there's a vet in Australia, Dr. Bruce Symes, who
Okay.
makes this complete mix. It's a raw muesli mix, and you just add boiling water to it, and it supposedly simulates the stomach of a dead animal.
Oh, okay.
She's been having that for years, and she has that with her rabbit or a chicken or, yeah. So, and that's very good stuff too.
Send me that information too. If you can't do the chat thing, and you got this email there from me. That's why you're here. I assume.
Yes.
So reply. Tell me about these things, this product you mentioned. Yeah. Because
No,
I'm
but
looking-
there's so much. It's all vitamins, minerals. It's
yeah.
it's a raw muesli. It's excellent stuff. I've had Lady on it since I adopted her because my last dog was off. So you didn't have to worry about, like people say, oh, how much, like the ratio. I've never worried about ratios about anything. I just give her a couple of
Not me either.
tablespoons of the Dr. Bruce muesli mix, and then I add her raw meat to it, and her broccoli, silver beet, and kale. She probably has about 3 or 4 times the meat. Raw eggs, a lot of fish. She has fish for breakfast. Yeah. So amazing old girl.
Well,
So
thank you.
I'll send you the link to Dr. Bruce Simon on the chat. I'll put my Instagram
Okay.
link.
Yes, please.
Okay, I'd love you to see her in action.
Yeah.
You'd
No.
be amazed. You would
Yeah.
be amazed. Yeah,
Thank
raw
you.
fed. Yeah. Okay, I have to go. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right. Before I end it now, is anyone else have anything? Because then I hate to cut some off here. Gone 2 hours. I mean, wow. Anyone else? Are we good? Thank you so much for joining. I learned so much, and I hope you guys did too. I love when you share stories and things, because that's, like I said earlier, this is what I learn most from. It's from people that actually living the life with the raw food animal, raw fed animal. Okay, I'm going to end it now, and then thanks again. I'll send out another email if you do this. I'll try one more time, maybe next month, and see if there is an interest. And then take it from there. All right, then just making sure I didn't miss anything in the comments here. All right, thanks again, everybody. Bye-bye.